Hi everyone, we're going to get started in just a second. How is everybody doing today? What day is it today? Tuesday. All right, let's go ahead and get ourselves started. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I pray everybody's having an amazing day so far. I'm excited as always. Today, I want to talk to you about this idea of attention versus pursuit. So, welcome everybody. It's on TikTok. Please do go ahead and heart it up and give me some gifts over here. Also, those of you who are watching on Instagram, hello, give me some hearts, say hi. I'm going to make sure it's being sent over to my channel as well. And we are going to talk about this topic today, attention versus pursuit. There is a difference. There is a difference. And we're kind of following on from what we were talking about yesterday. So, yesterday we were talking about the idea of the one thing that makes, a godly leader want to pursue you or makes you unforgettable, right? And so, we're going to continue on in that same vein, attention versus pursuit. I'm just making sure I've sent it everywhere. And do hit that share button as well. We are live everywhere. We are live on Facebook, we're live on Instagram, we are live on TikTok, and we are live on YouTube. So please do go ahead and hit that share button. Let someone know that we're live. Anyone that you feel might benefit from what we're going to talk about today, please do go ahead and do that. So I want to jump straight into this today. We had such a good session yesterday, and if you would like to get the replay from yesterday, because of course replays are only really being saved on YouTube. So if you want to get the replay, go to the link that I've got linked. Those of you that are watching on YouTube and Facebook, it is the link that is on the bottom. Everyone else, you can see the link is pinned, so you can definitely go ahead and look there. So I want to jump straight into this idea of attention versus pursuit. Attention versus pursuit. And what is the difference? And the reason why I want to do this is because some people get it confused and they feel like it's the same thing, but it's not the same thing. Getting attention is not the same as being pursued. And I understand that sometimes we can get it mixed up, or we can get ourselves a little bit confused around the difference or whether it's the same thing or not. But we are going to jump into it today. And hopefully, if you have any questions, go ahead and type those in the chats. Remember, we are live on YouTube and Facebook, and that's where all of our replays will live. And if you're watching me on TikTok and Instagram, definitely come over and join me over on YouTube for a much better experience than what you're currently seeing. And so today we are going to jump straight on into it. And I definitely still want to introduce myself to those of you who don't know me. So my name is Rachel-Yvonne McIntosh, and I help Christian women be pursued by godly established men by reclaiming your godly femininity so that you're seen, desired, and provided for. It's very specific, very niched. But at the same time, I know that many ladies in our communities definitely could benefit from this kind of conversation. And so I'm also a preacher. I'm a pageant coach. My crown is over there. And I'm a pageant queen, sorry, and also a director. All right. And so a couple of things that we're going to go through today. And if you have any questions, of course, please do write them in the chat. And then I will do my best to answer your questions, whether I answer them live today or another time that we are together. And so our topic again today is this idea of attention versus pursuit. Attention versus pursuit. So, of course, most women are attracting attention, right? So that's kind of normal. It's what you're kind of expecting, it's what you're kind of seeing. Most women are actually attracting attention, but very few women are actually attracting pursuit. And this video that we're going to be talking about today is about the gap between the two. the gap between the two. And so we're going to jump into that. I want to talk about the gap between those two things because that gap is where most of you are probably living, and nobody has really kind of talked about it with you or has really named it clearly for you to do something about it. So when you get attention, attention is easy, right? Every woman that I have in these networks that's following me or whatever, you're gorgeous, you're attractive. So that's not really the problem here. Attention says that I see you, whereas pursuit is different. Pursuit says, I want you, I'm coming for you, I'm willing to do what it takes to be with you. There is a difference. So we will see that when you go out. So if you go out today, or if you've been out today and people turn their heads to look at you, normal, right? So attention says, I see you, but there is a difference because what we're talking about today is pursuit. Pursuit says, I want you, I'm coming for you, and I'm willing to do what it takes to be with you. And if you've been getting the first thing and calling it the second, then that is where we're going to be discussing that difference today. And that's really where you have an audience, but you're not really getting into that relationship status. And I want you to stay with me. Stay with me because by the end of today's video, you're going to understand exactly why this is happening and importantly, how you can shift that. How you can shift that. And I want to tell you something even before we jump into this topic more, because I feel like context matters, right? So when we talk about things, we want to make sure that we're sharing things that are in context that make sense as well. And so there has been seasons in my life where I had a lot of male attention, more than I knew what to do with. Men in church, men in ministry, men in the, just going out on the street and so on like that. Complimentary, giving me lots of compliments, being consistent, being interested. But there was still that part of me that was very much alone. And the reason why it was alone, it was because none of them were actively actually pursuing me, right? So sometimes people don't really understand the difference, which is what we're talking about today. And so none of them were actually pursuing. And you might feel like, oh, I get a lot of attention from men. Men always like me, they're always in my DMs. But there is a difference between men who are actively pursuing you and just getting the attention. And so that's truly what we're basing this conversation on today. And so I was finding that men were circling, they were warming themselves, by my fire, as it were, happy to be in my atmosphere. But not one of them was willing to step forward and say, I want you to be mine. And so if you've experienced that, and if you're going through that right now, I want you to drop a 1 in the chat for me. Drop a 1 in the chat if that's something that you've experienced or you've been in that situation before. And for such a long time, I didn't understand what was going on because I thought the problem was me. And I was like, well, what's going on? Like, am I not attractive enough? Am I not, presenting the right image, or what is actually the problem? But I was wondering if I was a bit too much. So sometimes we can think that, or am I too focused on this? Or am I too accomplished? Hey. So good to see you guys. But I had never been taught the difference between presence that draws attention and presence that commands pursuit, because they're two different things. And it can look the same on the surface. So I know you're getting men are liking your stories, they're liking your pictures, they're sending you DMs. They maybe even when you're out and about, you're getting stopped and told you look gorgeous, or, I'd like to know you. But then no one is actively pursuing you. Accidentally, what I had been doing was I had been having the kind of presence that draws attention, but I did not have the presence that commanded pursuit. And even when I did, I didn't know how to keep it. I didn't know what to do about it. And so that's really what we're talking about today. And so I'm going to describe a little bit more what attention looks like. Attention looks like this. Attention means that I want to describe it so you'll know what that means. I mean, I'm sure most of you know what it means to have attention. So attention can look like him watching your stories, or he likes every post like within 30 seconds, or he calls you randomly at different times, but never consistently. Maybe he tells you that you're amazing, you're beautiful, you're special, and then disappears for like 3, 4 days, 5 days. Attention can also look like he's always around, enjoys your company, makes you feel seen in the moment, but has made zero declarations about your future together. How many of you have been there or you're there right now? That I'm going to let you know, and you might feel like, oh, that is pursuit. They're pursuing me because they're following my stories, or they're responding, or they're sending me DMs or whatever. But that is actually not pursuit. Attention can feel like pursuit when you're in a dry season, and it can feel like something is building and it feels like it's almost there, but it's not pursuit. That's not someone actively pursuing and making plans to be with you and to be connected with you and making actual physical plans to move towards marriage, move towards exclusivity. And this is kind of like what I like to call, it's like they're just in your audience, right? They're just in your orbit. And where you're the main character in the show, but it's not actually going to have the ending that you were writing in your head. And this is where a lot of ladies sometimes can mistake a man's genuine intentions for he's just being a fan. And that's fine. You're going to have fans. You're gorgeous. You're attractive. You're beautiful. Like, you're powerful. You're going to have fans. But pursuit is directional. Pursuit moves towards something specific, and it costs him something, whether that's time, pride, comfort, money, or vulnerability. Like, it cost him something to be in pursuit of you. Think about the idea in the Bible, story in the Bible, of when Jacob, he saw Rachel and he wanted her and he told her dad. And then the dad was like, you're going to just have to work for her for 7 years, yada, yada, etc. And he pursued her because it cost him something, right? And so pursuit has to cost something. Whereas when a man's just giving you attention, it doesn't always cost him anything. Pursuit is directional. It's moving towards somewhere. It's intentional. It moves towards something that is specific. So what else does pursuit look like? For those of you who are wondering, like, even for the gents that are watching, and this is how she's interpreting it as well. Pursuit looks like a man who makes his intentions clear. And from, pretty soon, where you're like, I'm going to make you my wife. I want to be with you. I'm interested in getting to know you better. Where you're clear and you have clarity. Where you're clear and you have clarity around, like, what is it you're doing and what you're desiring to get out of that interaction. And obviously, it's not about being heavy-handed, but you're doing it in a way that removes ambiguity. So she's clear on what's actually happening. You know what you are to him because he has told you, and his actions are consistent with his words. When a man's actions are consistent with his words, you will know that he is pursuing you. All right. And I think that's super important. I think that's super important for us to understand, even in this conversation today, that the only way that we're going to know that a man is interested is not just because he's DMing you, but what is he actually saying in those DMs? Because I know someone's going to tell me that, oh, they thought that man liked them because they just liked your post or said you're beautiful. When you are an attractive woman, when you have something to offer, these are normal behaviors. These are things that happen to you day in, day out. You pretty much expect it. I think I might go live somewhere else. I'm going to go live on one more app as well. So I want to pause there for a second and find out if you have any questions about what we're sharing today. Exactly. Attention is not pursuit. And you got to know the difference. Intentionality will always set someone apart. Intentionality will always make a difference. And when you are intentional, it doesn't automatically mean that, okay, so here's the other thing. Some people feel like if a man is intentional with me, then I have to respond in a positive way. If you like him, then respond. If you don't like him, that's another story altogether. But it also doesn't mean that every single person that pursues you, you have to entertain them either. But I will say that what you focus on is what expands. And if you focus on the good, if you focus on receiving well, if you focus on enjoying your life and really loving the woman that you are, the woman that you're becoming, then you will start to see better results in every area of your life. And I think I told you guys this yesterday as well, that, and I tell you this probably like every time I go live, really and truly, is that how you do one thing typically shows up in other spaces of your life too. How you're able to receive, how you're able to respond. And yesterday we talked about this idea of um, you are made to be found and what it looks like to be found. I don't know, my internet's being really slow. Trying to download another place that I want to go live, but it's being slow. But I want to pause for a second, just see if there's any questions. If you have any questions, please do go ahead and type them in the chat or somewhere where I can see them. So those of you on YouTube and Facebook, hi everyone. And those who are on Instagram and TikTok. And we're also going to go live one more place. If I can just get it to cooperate. Let's see. Any questions, guys? Any questions for me? Trying to make this work. And so another thing that I've been considering while I'm waiting for my iPad to download, I don't know what's happening. My internet's like super slow for some reason. Let me try it one more time, another way. Okay. Okay, so it's taken a little while, but that's fine. I'm thinking that maybe I will use, oh no, this is taking 16 minutes. That's fine. Let me come off of this. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to come off of Instagram and I will stay live on TikTok and YouTube and Facebook, and then we'll do something else. So yeah, so while I'm doing this, any questions, guys? Any questions? Any thoughts about what I'm sharing about so far? So today we're talking about attention versus pursuit. And what is the difference between those things, even around this conversation? Like, what is the difference between attention and pursuit? Now, here's the other thing about it, is that so pursuit is always going to be intentional, right? It's not going to be ambiguous. It's going to be clear. It is going to be obvious what that man wants. Now, pursuit also looks like a man who creates a plan. So he's enjoying your company, but not only that, he is building towards something with you in it. And I've spoken about this before, about making sure that even when you're entertaining and speaking to different men, that you actually don't even need to. And people try to argue with me about this, but you don't even need to go on dates, actual dates with all the men in order to find out if there's someone that should be in your orbit. You will know. So 1 second. you will know whether or not he should be in your orbit just by how you listen to him talk about different things. You listen to how he talks to you about different concepts and different conversations, as well as how he treats people in his life. So you listen to his views, even things like, even if you're on social media, even the way that that person might show up on social media, right? Let me see if I can get this. Okay. Even the way that person might show up on social media, or 7447966 450. Okay, let's try this again. Okay. Trying to figure out why my phone is acting crazy. Okay. Right, we're back. And what I've realized as well is the other thing that I want to get to is this, is that pursuit also looks like a man who prioritizes access to you. So when he prioritizes access, he will allow you opportunities in order to grow in the relationship and to really see where it's going. So the reason why he will prioritize access to you is because he understands that when he isn't investing in you, that someone else might. So typically, when a man really wants you to be his, he is going to make sure that nobody else can get in. He's going to make sure that there's no room for anybody else to fit in that space. And pursuit costs something. A man who has only been giving you attention has cost himself nothing in your life. And that is important. So you need to write that down. If you're only getting attention from him, then understand that he is actually not really and truly pursuing you. All right. I don't know if I can make this any clearer. I was trying to go live somewhere else, but it's not working for me. Anyway, we'll just carry on. So I want to ask you, this is a question you need to ask yourself. Is this man moving towards me, or is he comfortable where he is? That's why a man can say that, oh, so, and this has happened to me before. Say like you get engaged or you announce that you're getting married or something. Suddenly, a man that you already know will reach out to you and be like, oh, I thought we were going to get married, or I thought this and I thought that. And what he's doing is he thought that because he was giving you attention, it meant that it was leading somewhere. But what he didn't realize is that there was somebody else who was actively pursuing and saying, you're mine, and making those efforts towards you two being together. Because when a man gives you attention, he's comfortable in that. He has access to you with or without commitment. You answer the phone, things like that. You maybe even respond to some of the messages he sends. And he's able to provide this idea of like, he feels like he's close to you. But, and you got to be careful, because when there is no accountability, you can find yourself in what's more commonly known today as a situationship without even realizing it. Because maybe he has intimacy with you emotionally, spiritually, and even for some of you physically. And there is no accountability. There is no cost to him. There is no intentionality behind that apart from just being comfortable. And I'm going to tell you this, and you're probably going to hate me for saying this, but he's not going to disrupt that comfort voluntarily. Why would he? If he's already getting access to you, you've given him everything, the benefit of a relationship with none of expectation, then why would he pursue you properly? A man in pursuit is uncomfortable in the best possible way. You know why? Because he's reaching, he's risking, he's intentional, because he wants you, and that requires him to act. And some of you are going to say, okay, Rachel, so how do I know whether or not he's really intentional or not? I'm going to tell you how. If it's been going on a while, if he's been comfortable for more than a few months, if he has been in your orbit for like a year and never actually said, hey, I want to take you on a date, or hey, I think you're amazing, I wonder if you'd like to talk about, us moving our relationship forward. If he never ever makes the steps to move things forward, then it's telling you everything you need to know. But the issue is that in this modern world, people feel like if I'm getting the attention, it means I'm being actively pursued, and they aren't the same thing. And I'm going to give you actually 5 reasons why sometimes accomplished, Holy Spirit led, genuinely beautiful women keep attracting attention to the pursuit. And none of these things are about being deficient. So every single one of these things that I'm going to talk to you about is fixable. And there's 5 things. And trust me, when I was going through this and when I was getting ready to teach this today, I was like, oh my gosh, I wish that like 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that someone had told me these things so I could have saved myself from a few, different situations. But on the same token, I am super grateful for the life that I've had, because it's allowed me to be the woman I am today. So never forget that. So the first thing is, sometimes you've made yourself too available too fast. Availability is access. And when you give a man unlimited access before he's invested anything, you've removed the primary incentive for pursuit. So if you've already done these things, can you get it back? You can, but it's harder for obvious reasons. Obviously, it's going to be harder for you to call it back and to bring it back, because you're already in that place where you've allowed him to come in without actively pursuing you. I need you to understand this about this particular element, is that what requires no effort to obtain will not be cherished. And that's really the bottom line. If he didn't have to have any effort to obtain you, then he's not going to cherish you. And I keep saying that these things are true in not just relationships, but it's true in courtship, and it's true in other areas of your life as well. When you are available for everything immediately, this creates a dynamic where a man can take the temperature of a relationship without ever committing to it. He can stay hopeful and be in that situation and realize that nothing moves. And so this is something that we can get into and not even realize that I'm in this situation. How did I get here? How did I get here? You know that song, How Did We Get Here? I'm not going to sing. But understand that you can fix these things. However, it can be a little bit difficult if you've already given that level of functionality, you're given that level of, movement, without actually allowing them permission to say, listen, I am going to allow myself permission to say that when you must have discretion, right? So you need to guard your time, guard your heart, guard your emotional world, as well as your presence. You're not withholding from them. You're learning how to use wisdom. So this is why I've said to you before that you don't always have to go on a date. And I've mentioned this like so many times. And some people, they don't believe me. But you literally don't have to go on dates in order to understand what a man's philosophy is. You can listen to them talk. You can speak to them on the phone. You can give yourself an opportunity to be able to say, this is who I am. And so this is what you need to understand, even as it relates to what is being shared even today, and understand that when it comes to this, you are going to allow yourself an opportunity to be able to say that I know the difference between attention and pursuit. So here's the second one. So the first one was that you've made yourself available too fast. And the second reason is this: when you're given intimacy that doesn't belong to him. And I want to specifically talk to you about emotional intimacy specifically, because honestly, that's where I see the most damage in the lives of single Christian women. When you process your deepest wounds with him and you share your sacred dreams, and when you become his emotional home, even before covenant has been spoken, you're giving him a level of access that he has not earned, a level of access that he hasn't earned. And the problem is not just that he's getting something that he didn't earn. The problem is that you are now emotionally bonded to a man who has made no promises. Someone who has made no promises. And that bond makes it almost impossible for you to accurately assess whether he's actually right for you. So when you're too vulnerable with someone, and you're too vulnerable, it actually is a level of exposure. And the Holy Spirit will always signal to you when you are moving too fast, if you are still enough to hear it. But most of the time, we're not listening. We're too enamored in the fact that we've got this attention. We're too enamored in what we are feeling. And then the third thing is this: your energy says, I will take whatever you give me. Energy is a language. And you don't realize sometimes the language that you're speaking. When you're in a dry season, when you have been praying specifically for a long time, when you are lonely, when you're tired of waiting, there is a specific energy that can leak into every area of your life, into what you're showing up as, that can show up as desperation. So when you are interacting with a particular type of man, you suddenly show up with this idea of like, oh, I'm so relieved. Oh, finally. And then a man can feel that energy, especially an established man who has options. And the moment he feels like this, the dynamic's going to start to shift, because you're no longer someone he needs to pursue. Now you're someone he already has. And it's not his fault. And it's not because anybody has manipulated anybody. It is simply that pursuit requires a degree of certainty. And a man pursues when he knows that he's unsure of the outcome, because he's wondering, I'm pursuing, I'm chasing, I'm going after her. But when the outcome feels certain, when you have communicated that you're not going anywhere, then there's no motivation for him to move forward. He no longer has to be motivated towards coming towards you, because you have made it easy. That's why when you carry a level of peace, when you have this type of energy that is magnetic, a woman who is genuinely content, who is genuinely whole, and does not need to be rescued, she absolutely knows how to create the right kind of holy tension for a man who is serious. And I'm going to very much so maybe do one more, and then we're going to close this today. So here's the last thing, is that you can be impressive but not present. So this one is specifically for those ladies who find themselves to be high achieving, you're ambitious and so on, but you have the vision, you have the goals, you have everything, and everything about you is impressive, but you have no presence. Presence is about who you are and what you carry. And a man can admire everything you've accomplished, and they can say, wow, you're such a powerful woman and things like that. But at the same time, if he doesn't know how to reach you, he can respect your gifts and he can say that you're a powerful woman, you're amazing. He can be attracted, but not pursue you. You know why? Because you never show your womanly energy, your softness, your your approachability, as it were. And when your presence is soft, when your presence shows availability in the right situations, in the right moments, then someone can actually see you, not just for what you can do, but for who you are underneath. Who are you really? And this is something that I had to come to terms with throughout my journey, that a man is not really going to fall in love with your CV, your resume, your accolades, but he's going to fall in love with your presence, something that he can reach for in your energy. And I'll probably do the last one tomorrow, but I really do want to say this as we close out today. I want to finish off, and then I'll probably do the last part of this tomorrow. When you're able to create space, when you're able to create presence, when you're able to be magnetic, when you know what makes you irresistible, the Bible says in Proverbs 4:23 that you guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. So we're talking about this idea of knowing the difference between attraction versus pursuit. You are responsible for what you give access to. You are responsible for who you give access to your heart. You're responsible for your emotional world, your inner world, everything. It's not for everyone. It is for the one who actually has proven himself worthy of it. And when you understand this, when you stop in that position, you're going to start to see that the woman that I am knows who she is, knows the difference between attention and pursuit. And so I've got a free training that you can get, and you can download it using the link tree that you see scrolling below you. Or if you're in another space, you can see the links right there. And I have this free training that talks about this idea of knowing the difference between knowing and the feminine secret that makes a godly man stop, notice, and pursue. And the idea is that you were made to be found. And so I'm going to wrap it up here for today. And I hope you'll join me again another day where I continue to talk about this idea of attention versus pursuit. God bless, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.